African continent witnessed a lot of political upheavals during the year 2021, but there were also good news as some countries successfully conducted elections adjudged to be free and fair by international observers, raising hope of better things to come as the continent continues to search for a stable and peaceful political growth. This edition of the program will take a look at some of the major political developments in the continent in 2021 and projections for 2022. I am Uche Ugochukwu, your anchor this week. Welcome to Africa Weekly. From Mali to Guinea, then Sudan, regional and continental leaders battled to restore peace and democracy to these countries after coup plotters overthrew the governments, and the issues have remained largely unresolved. But the elections in Cape Verde and the Gambia offered some respite. This report reviews some of these developments.
2021 for the African continent could be described as a year of presidential elections. The year began with Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni's re-election for the sixth term in office amidst intense and deadly opposition protests. In Niger Republic, it took 2 rounds of votes for Mohamed Bazoum to beat his opponent and former President Mohamed Osman for the top job. And in Benin Republic, it was a coast ride for Patrice Talon, who won re-election for a second term in the very first round of polls, largely boycotted by the opposition. President Sassou Nguesso extended his rule in Congo with a 4th-term win. The election witnessed the death of his opponent, Parfait Colorless, from COVID-19. Then Idriss Déby of Chad got re-elected, but his win was short-lived as he died in battle with jihadists shortly after the declaration of his election victory. An opposition leader, Hakainde Hichilema, in his 6th attempt at the presidency, displaced Zambia's Edgar Lungu in a bitterly contested poll. The win was a landslide, triggering jubilation in the country. And the Gambia Adama Barrow maintained his grip on power after beating his opponent Osano Dabo, who received about 28% of the votes.
I will do all I can and utilize every resource at my disposal to make the Gambia a better place for us all.
A wind of change blew across Sao Tome and Principe, as well as Cape Verde, when opposition candidates in the island nations won elections. And in the Horn of Africa nation of Djibouti, elections were largely peaceful, with President Ismail Guelleh extending his 2 decades in power. And on the downside, 2021 saw the return of coup, which had been on a steady decline in the continent since 2010. A coup in Guinea ousted President Alpha Condé, bringing to an end the 83-year-old's hang-on to power in a controversial 3rd term. Mutinous soldiers led by Mamadi Doumbouya led the coup to huge cheers from the population. In Mali, Assimi Goïta consolidated his regime's power by ousting his civilian partners, orchestrating a coup within a coup. Attempted coups were staged in Niger and Madagascar. In Sudan, there is still no political solution to the power arrangements between Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok's civilian government and the military. At least 50 people had been killed. Civil protests and demonstrations contributed in shaping the political arena in Africa in 2021. Widespread looting took place in deadly protests against the conviction and imprisonment of former South Africa's President Jacob Zuma for corruption. Neighboring Eswatini also saw riots, with the young population frustrated with the King Mswatini's monarchy. Demonstrations rocked Tunisia and worsened when President Kais Saied suspended parliament and froze legislation in July. Some serving and former presidents, as well as leaders, died in the course of the year. They are Tanzania's President John Magufuli, who was aged 61. He was one of Africa's most prominent coronavirus skeptics and called for prayers and herbal-infused steam therapy to counter the virus. Magufuli was reported to have died from heart complications at a hospital in Dar es Salaam. Kenneth Kaunda, Zambia's founding president and liberation hero, died at a military hospital in Lusaka, where he was being treated for pneumonia. Former Chadian President Hissène Habré, who was serving a lifetime in Senegal for war crimes and crimes against humanity, died at the age of 79. F.W. de Klerk, the former president of South Africa and the last white person to lead the country, died at the age of 85. The country also lost the anti-apartheid campaigner, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who died at 90.
Joining us now to look at the political development in Africa in 2021 and projections for 2022 is an international affairs analyst and politician, Dr. Gabra Nguru. Sir, you're welcome to Africa Weekly.
Thank you very much.
As someone who follows events in the continent, what would you say stood out for you politically in 2021?
Thank you very much. If you look at the political or the democratic scenario, there is more transparency and it's more advanced. The politics is unlike the olden days politics. So democratically, especially in Nigeria, we have advanced more to the extent that oppositions are going to election without having any fear of being victimized or my party is not in power, so I am afraid and can't go to fool. If you look at it from the beginning of this administration, there are a lot of series of elections which was done fairly. So honestly speaking, the advance in politics and democratic activities in Africa and Nigeria entirely is overwhelming. So it's a very big achievement.
Okay, now, the issues in Mali, Guinea, and Sudan have not been sufficiently resolved. Now, going into 2022, what are you hoping to see in these regards?
If you look at it, some of them have started getting a headway. Like the one in the Guinea, I think the military administrator has come out to announce a transition program which they promise to give fairness and freedom of politics to all. I think the only fear in that aspect is they don't know for how long the transition program is taking. They don't know the duration of the transition program. In Mali, if you look at it, they are also coming to solution, I think, because it is like a more or less fighting for freedom from the northern Malians, which they've been agitating. So that was what prompted the military as a corrective regime, saying that there is a lack of response to crisis or function of insecurity and insurgency. So all these ones, if you look at it, they are taking a headway. I can see very soon all these problems will be solved.
Okay, thank you so much. Going into let's talk about the investments. We noticed that some international summits like the France, Africa, and Dubai Forum were held in 2021. What impacts in terms of foreign investment could you?
Yeah, there are a lot of impacts because the France-African Summit, I think, is to foster or to revive the relationship, to give it more befitting pace. And the one in Dubai is, I think, a forum to create a link or like a what do you call it, one body of investors that across both Africa and the Middle East. Because this investment link in Dubai Summit is something that is new. It has never been done anywhere in the world. It is, I think, a very big platform whereby all the investors in the world will have a particular link to see how they can come to Africa and invest in both Africa and the Middle East. So for Nigeria to participate in such a program, I'm sure it is a very good step and it is a welcome development. And for Mr. President to be part of that program, it is really a well done something. We have to give him an applause for that.
For Nigeria, the issue of insecurity subsisted in 2021. How, in your opinion, should government at all levels approach this situation?
Thank God the government has started getting a headway to tackle the insecurity. And these governments have done tremendously well. I think whenever there is problem, we don't have to look at the negative side always. We have to look both sides, the negative and the positive. And in all our thinking and judgment, we need to be positive and rational. You see, there are a lot of achievements in terms of insurgency. Before, we were fighting only Boko Haram. Today, the Boko Haram is almost down by 80%. What we have now is the issue of banditry. The issue of planning herdsmen in the Benue and other places, it has gone down drastically. So I'm sure with the measures taken by the new service chiefs and the CDS and the president, Mr. President himself, I'm sure before 2022 or maybe within 2022, we are going to have a very peaceful Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gabra Guru. Thanks for coming to our studio and giving us your insights. Africa Weekly continues after this break. Stay with us. Nigeria made some landmark diplomatic dealings with many countries in 2021, with some of these agreements expected to yield fruits in the coming year. Here is a recap of these events.
America, Europe, Asia and Africa all seek for improved relations with Nigeria in 2021, signaling new reputation Nigeria builds in the eyes of the world. The campaign of America back mantra to rebuild relationship and redeem image against the insulting comments and restrictions such as the visa ban by Donald Trump to many countries including Nigeria brought two key figures of U.S. government, America's Deputy National Security Advisor and the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
There are no significant issues on our mutual agenda that can be addressed without working together, and so we are committed to continuing to do that. So
the United States doesn't want to limit your partnerships with other countries.
Nigeria is gradually becoming a very good destination in terms of its relations with other countries of the world.
Nigeria and the United States government share interest in fighting terrorism and seeking for better guide to deal with insurgents in Lake Chad, for instance, and ISIS in other parts of the world. Recently, the A-29 Super Tucano planes and intelligence sharing are some of the benefits gained in the Nigeria and the United States friendship. Nigeria and the United Kingdom, as well as Europe relations, are emboldened with various engagements at different platforms and investment forums we see in 2021, just as Nigeria and Turkey closed the calendar with better ties in cooperation. This was before weighing projections for stronger development partnership between Nigeria and South Africa and the Burkina Faso government.
We now take you to Kenya, where business owners are exploring opportunities available in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo to foster more economic relations between both countries.
Low-cost carrier Jumbo Jet started a new route to Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo in September this year, making it the first airline to have direct flights between Nairobi and the capital of North Kivu province. Business relations between Kenya and the Democratic Republic of Congo have been cordial, with both government officials and private sector players in the two countries forging closer ties. Kenya plans to open a consulate in Goma, which private sector players are keen to capitalize on to grow business between Kenya and the DRC.
Goma is the nearest entrance to Kenya, and the trucks bringing goods from Mombasa come straight, what we call the Northern Corridor, comes through Uganda, then it comes now to Beni, then it comes to Goma.
Low-cost carrier is eyeing more routes in Africa, which is expected to become one of the fastest growing aviation regions in the next 2 decades, with an average annual expansion of nearly 5%. Kenyan businesses are exploring opportunities in the DRC market as they target to diversify the export portfolio, and volumes after COVID-19 disruption underscored the importance of deeper inter-regional trade.
From Kenya, we go to Zambia. Here, you will see how the ingenuity of one person is helping to alleviate the sufferings of many from high cost of fuel.
A Lusaka-based local entrepreneur has invented the chemical formula of turning rubber and plastic into clean energy gas, which can be used in any motor vehicle as fuel. Presently, Central African Renewable Energy Corporation Limited is able to produce 700 liters of cheap clean fuel from its main plant in Shantumbu area in Lusaka. The LPG gas being produced from the plant has been certified by the Zambia Bureau of Standards. The process of converting waste into fuel takes 4 hours of combustion for the end product to be produced, which includes petrol, low-sulfur diesel, and cooking oil.
Something we've done now, we have seen that it's a concept that is workable, it's been proven, and so we need additional investment into this.
Central African Renewable Energy Corporation Limited Director says the company is ready to scale up production up to 200,000 liters of fuel per day if financial resources are made available.
Produce something like 200 tons per day, which is ideally 200,000 liters of fuel per day. And to be able to do that, we're looking at an investment of around $2 million.
And BuyZ founder has called on lending financial institutions to consider investing in the project as it is viable and key in producing cheap fuel.
Private sector out there, especially the banks, let's not only collect deposits from your clients, you can take this project as your own. We have been told that the project, in order to run at full capacity, it needs about in the excess of $2 million. I think that is a colossal sums of money.
After waiting for close to 5 hours, it was time to test the genuineness of the fuel produced at the plant. One could not tell the difference the conventional petrol, as the vehicle in which it was tested was running smoothly.
Produced from our plant in Shantumbu, and here we are going. We're doing 40-50 kilometers per hour.
Let's take a trip to Cameroon, where the organizers of the biggest soccer tournament in Africa, the African Cup of Nations, have perfected logistics and transportation arrangements for participating teams to ensure a smooth tournament.
An exhilarating atmosphere across the major streets of Douala. Make no mistakes, the indomitable Lions are not in town. And this is by no way a trophy tour. 24 buses representing the 24 participating teams at the 2021 Total Energy AFCON have just freshly come out from the Douala seaport. Their passage along the major streets and neighborhoods of Douala whips up patriotic sentiments amongst Cameroonians and Africans. From Accra to Daido, passing through the busy streets of Bonamusadi, Makepe, Ndokbong, Ndokpasi, and then Bonanjo. The buses gradually drive past to the cheering of the excited crowd. The approach of each team bus is welcomed by its nationals with wavering sounds. A glittering example being teams Cameroon and Nigerian buses. A routine throughout the over 4-hour tour, guided by law enforcement officers and administrative authorities. From Douala, the buses are expected to be in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, from where they will head to their various AFCON sites, being Limbe, Bafoussam, Garoua, Douala, and Yaoundé.
South Africa is mourning one of Africa's peace ambassadors, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and world leaders continue to pay tributes as this report captures.
It is a moral universe that in the end good prevails.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu had been diagnosed with prostate cancer in the late 1990s and has been hospitalized in recent years. News of his death, announced this Sunday, was a shocker not only to South Africans, but the entire world. Dr. Ramphela Mamphele, acting chairperson of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu IP Trust and coordinator of the Office of the Archbishop, in a statement on behalf of the family, said he died peacefully at his Oasis Frail Care Center in Cape Town Sunday morning.
You were human, but you were not quite as human as the others.
Desmond Tutu, a cleric, used his pulpit to help bring down apartheid in South Africa and then became the leading advocate of peaceful reconciliation under black majority rule. After he retired, the emeritus archbishop criticized what he considered the inadequacies of South Africa's new leaders, especially their failure to alleviate poverty.
Hey, when are you going to get it into your head? Just look at how much you are spending on guns.
In the meantime, world leaders have continued to pay tributes to the late Desmond Tutu. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa described Tutu as a leader of principle and pragmatism who gave meaning to the biblical insight that faith without work is dead. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he is deeply saddened by the death of Archbishop Desmond Tutu and that he would be remembered for his leadership. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has recalled the role played by late South African elder statesman Desmond Tutu in getting Nigeria's foreign debt cancelled during his presidency. Obasanjo noted Tutu's heroic advocacy effort of his worth respect to Nigeria. Indebtedness to the Paris Club on behalf of Nigeria was very much in his character.
That's our package this week. Thanks for being a part of it. I am Uche Ugochukwu. Compliments of the season.